All right, we finally got our hands on a Surface Book 3. And after watching a lot of the reviews, this is why I create reviews, especially of these types of products, because a lot of the people out there doing reviews are tech reviewers, and that's what they do for a living. They don't get a chance to spend a lot of time with the product, or maybe it is their main device, but they're using 4 or 5 devices at the same time. The reason why I say this is because one of the main complaints I'm seeing about the Surface Book 3 is that it's not the most powerful laptop out there, and they need to change the design and make it more powerful. The problem with that is, first of all, it's not even really a laptop. It's a two-in-one. So it's supposed to be the most powerful two-in-one. And obviously, that's kind of like comparing a convertible to an SUV. Yes, an SUV holds a lot more people, and we're never going to make a convertible into a SUV because a convertible car can do something an SUV can't do. It can take the top off. And just like that, the Surface Book 3 can take its tablet portion off. So let's go ahead and talk about what I noticed in my review and why I still love the Surface Book 3 more than any other laptop, even though I have other laptops, including gaming laptops. I've had all the Surface devices, and I'm getting a MacBook and iPad, all those devices for my business. But one of the main reasons that stood out to me is when you try to use a regular laptop, even if it has a touchscreen, and you try to use it like this in your drawing or doodling, or if you want to write on the screen, it's fine for a few minutes, like I'm doing here. It's fine. But after a couple of minutes, like Apple said back in the day, who wants to reach out to their screen to touch the screen? Yes, it's okay if you're scrolling because you could use your thumb and you could lay your arm down. But you see how my arm is hanging in the air? You're not really going to be able to draw well if your arm is elevated like that. I would have to probably put my arm on something and then start drawing. Or if I want to mark up a document, after a while, that can become tiring. But one thing I did notice about the Surface Book after going back to a laptop that didn't have a touchscreen is when you have options of using your device in different forms and changing it like a convertible car, you do it, especially if you do it the right way. And I'm going to show you the right way to do it. But if you do that, you're going to get more out of your device, and you're going to have a better time using your device. You're not going to get tired of just sitting at your desk, which is what I was getting tired of, actually. So what I did is I went ahead and switched to tablet studio mode, where the base is still connected. So I get the battery and I get the graphics card. And this is a lot more comfortable. My hand is still not resting on the screen, even though I could rest my hand on the screen, but I didn't want it to get in the way. But in this particular mode, you can rest your hand on the screen. Here I'm just doodling and coloring in the tree. So I didn't feel like I was being strained. I didn't feel like my arm was being strained. And even if my arm did get tired, I could start resting it on the actual screen. The one thing I don't like, though, is that the screen does get a little bit hot. Now, if you want to be a professional artist, you would probably be wearing some type of artist glove. And then another thing you want to do, for me, since I'm left-handed, when you're setting up your pen, that doesn't come with the device. You have to buy it separately for $100, or you could buy a third-party version for $50. If you put on the glove, make sure you set the Bluetooth settings for the pen to left-handed if you are left-handed, because when you put your palm on the device, it will reject it from the left side. If you don't do this, you'll notice that it'll start glitching because it'll think that you're writing on that side of the screen and it won't reject your palm. So make sure you go into the settings for the Surface Pen and choose the option for either left-handed or right-handed. You could also change that too if more than one person uses the device. So the next mode is what I call drawing presenter mode. And this is the mode that I'm in most of the time. I use a Bluetooth keyboard and I leave my computer like this most of the time. Why? Because then you'll end up using the tablet portion even more. If you don't do this and you leave it in laptop mode, a lot of people online on YouTube and in Reddit have been saying, well, I don't end up using it in tablet mode a lot. Well, that's because you're using the keyboard to type, which is fine, but it's not as ergonomic for using the tablet and having a stand as using it in studio presenter mode, as I call it, because then you can actually touch the screen when you need to and it's not far away from you. And then I end up using a real mechanical keyboard or just one of those Windows keyboards and a trackball mouse. And this was the most ergonomic way to use the device for me, because yes, I love the keyboard, it's nice, but if you're at home and you're not at the office, or even if you're working in Starbucks, I've taken a keyboard, a small Bluetooth keyboard with me to Starbucks, because if I want to start drawing or marking up the screen, it's just a lot more ergonomic that way. And I like having the screen closer to me. And having it this way was actually the easiest way for me to draw, because I just lift my arm up, I draw. When I want to relax, I put my arm down and I don't have to touch the screen. Now, if you want to get into real detail and you're a professional artist, then obviously you're going to have to put your palm on the screen and touch the screen. I don't detach the tablet portion a lot because I like having that extra battery. And another thing I wanted to point out is I'm using the old Surface dock as well. As you can see here, I'm using the old Surface dock and it works fine. The extra power that the Surface Dock 2 has does come in handy, but I'll show you why. If you don't use USB-C or two 4K screens, you may not need the new Surface Dock. The old Surface Dock might be just fine. What I found is that it was easier to color in while I had it in this mode, because it's closer to my face. I don't have to lean over, and I'm a big advocate for having an ergonomic setup. And when you have it laid flat, you have to kind of arch your neck over the screen and you're kind of in the work, which is fine. But after about 10 minutes of doing that, your back starts to hurt, your neck starts to feel stiff. So I could actually sit back in my chair in this mode and draw or mark up the screen for my web development and app development that we do. I could circle something and send it off to my web developer without having to lean forward to look at my screen, which I found really productive. The other thing you could do is you can duplicate your screen into a bigger screen in front of you if you want to see what you're doing even larger. And I also have I forgot what they call it, but it's almost like a tablet holder where I can put it behind the tablet portion. It's somewhere in my office. I don't know where it is, but you put it behind the tablet portion on top of the keyboard. It has little rubber feet under it. And then that way your tablet portion will not move. Like my tablet portion is moving right now, but it's not moving a lot because that hinge is really strong. But if you don't want it to move at all, you could put one of those little devices behind it so that when you push against it, the tablet portion will not move. The next thing I want to talk about is Powerdirector, and this is Powerdirector right here that I'm opening up, and this is my alternative for Adobe Premiere and DaVinci Resolve, which they're both good, but what I found is that Powerdirector performs a lot better on the timeline, especially if you're using touch or the pen. As you can see right now, I'm using the trackball mouse, but if I want to use touch or my pen, I found that Powerdirector performs a lot better when I'm using touch and when I'm moving things around with touch, because as you can see here, I could drag it around with my finger. I could press play with my finger, but I noticed the pen works better, obviously, because it's more precise. But dragging things around the timeline with your finger is really easy. It was really easy. It works in Adobe Premiere as well, but I noticed if you have 4K clips in Adobe Premiere, I noticed it just doesn't move as smoothly like an iPad Pro would. Whereas Powerdirector on Windows, it works on a Surface Go, it works on a Surface Pro, and it's more lightweight. You could buy it for one-time price of around $70 if you're into videos or you want to edit video, family videos, friend videos, social media videos, or even if you're a professional. Powerdirector works well on the Surface Book for that purpose. And then when I was actually rendering a 20-minute 4K file of my kids, as you can see, it rendered out to about 2.2 gigs. It only took 7 minutes and 39 seconds. Now, with Adobe's latest update, though, they've significantly improved their render times. Now, this same file in Adobe actually took about 7 minutes roughly. As you can see, I'm about 20 minutes into this file in Adobe Premiere and I had 6 minutes left. So it took about the same amount of time. The issue was that I noticed that I would have to play back the file at maybe 25% quality in order to get it to be smooth, which is fine. And as you can see, when it's rendering, it's actually using both GPUs, the integrated GPU and the dedicated GPU. And it's using about 58% of the CPU when it's rendering, which isn't that bad. So that is the performance of the video editing. And then for those that are interested in Cinebench, it took about, the Cinebench score was about, I believe, 1500. I ran it 3 times. And this is interesting. I ran it 3 different times. I used the old Surface dock that's plugged in now, and it actually got a better score than when I used the power adapter that comes with the Surface Book 3 that's supposed to be 127 watts. So this old Surface dock is compatible if you still have one. It works. The only thing you may have issues with is if you are trying to connect more than one 4K monitor, then you would need the new Surface dock because that has 2 USB-C ports that you can connect to 2 4K monitors. And I believe that is at 60 hertz or 60 frames. So that would be the only reason you would do that. I just don't think you should do that, though. You should connect 2 4K monitors to this. Maybe 1 is fine, but 2 is probably overkill. And what I notice a lot of people do, and a lot of people complain about, is they complain that I connected two 4K monitors or one 4K monitor, and I'm rendering a huge 60-minute file, and I'm running my SolidWorks CAD program all at the same time, and this laptop isn't fast enough. I paid $3,000 for the 32 gigabytes of RAM one. What I would say to you is this is the most powerful 201 out there. Save that extra $1,000, get the base model 15, and then connect remotely to your high-end Windows rig. Spend that extra $1,000 to $1,500 on a real desktop workstation that you can do the heavy lifting on. That's what I do. I do the heavy lifting on my, even my old desktop. I can offload some of that to my old desktop because no matter what you think, these devices, since they're not repairable, they're almost like premium, cell phones of the future that you can do everything on. They're not made to be used 24/7 rendering Hollywood videos. But if you want to write on the screen, if you want the tablet mode, if you want to read when you're away from your computer and detach the screen, this is a great device for you. I'm going to be doing some more updates on accessories I'm using to have an actual kickstand on the tablet portion. For battery life for the tablet portion, I'm getting about 3 hours. If you put it on half brightness, you'll get about 3 hours. The other trick is you can actually bring your AC power cord with you. Let's say you're sitting in the living room. You could be in tablet mode. You could connect it to power if you need to keep it charged, and you could do that all day if you want to. If you're watching a movie, you could put it down and charge the tablet portion with the Surface Connect port at the bottom in the middle of the tablet portion. So that's another thing. You could also buy a USB-C to Surface Connect adapter where you plug in a battery to that. And lastly, I have a cool accessory right here where I actually made it more comfortable to hold the screen. It's a case. So this makes it actually more comfortable. And as you can see, it covers the bottom. It covers the bottom and now makes it more comfortable for me to hold this in tablet mode. Even though the magnesium is beautiful, this makes it easier to hold. So I can actually hold this just like this. It's pretty cool. And then there's another one with a kickstand that I'll review in another video, but the tablet portion is really light. So I don't want to scratch this up though. That's why I have this case on it, just in case I need to sell it in 6 months. Because like I said, these are amazing devices, but they're almost like cell phones. Every year or two, there's going to be a new one. All they did this time was refresh the internals, which still make it a very powerful 2-in-1 that can be a substitute for a desktop and a laptop, but it's still not, a Dell XPS 17 or a MacBook Pro 16, but it does so much more. You can't do what I'm doing right now with this with those devices. It's just not a comparison. So for those people wanting to return to the device because it's not rendering as fast, it's actually in some programs now with Adobe, with their upgrade to new NVENC codec, it can actually render sometimes faster than the MacBook Pro and just as fast, or if not faster than the XPS 15, but most people are not video editors. The vloggers are complaining about video editing, like everybody's editing videos every day. Yes, that's great. Yes, the Cinebench Score isn't as fast as a gaming laptop, but what most people are doing every day, like me, I have 20 or 10 tabs open in the new Edge browser. I have Teams open. I'm getting on a Zoom call. I render a video. I'm on Excel. I'm in a Word document, doing all those things at one time, you should be fine, even with 16 gigabytes of RAM. So save that extra $1,000 and build your own PC or buy one with it and upgrade it so that you can get the power you need when you need it. But this can do 90% or 95% of most of the things that most professionals need. So hopefully you enjoyed this. Let me know if you have any questions. We'll talk more in our next review of this product. I'm going to do an update every week. Let me know what you think. Like and subscribe so you can support the channel, because I have my own business. This isn't what I do full time, but if with your support, we'll be able to bang out more videos. This is Flo signing out. Talk to you soon. Take care.